Why she smiles when you walk in. You ever notice how a younger woman smiles at you and you wonder why? It's not always attraction. Sometimes it's something deeper, something even she can't explain. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your presence carries peace instead of pressure, people, especially women, feel that energy before they understand it. Most men think her smile is just politeness, but often it's recognition. She senses calm confidence. A man who isn't chasing validation, who doesn't need to prove his worth. In a world full of noise, your stillness stands out. You don't need to talk too much or fill every silence. Your presence says enough. It's not about looks or status. It's your energy, the kind that says, "I'm grounded. I'm at peace with myself." Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom shows in your posture, your eyes, your tone. It's silent power, peace in motion. Think of two men walking into a cafe. One checks his phone, scanning for attention. The other walks in calm, slow, aware. He smiles once, sits quietly. Guess which one she notices? The one who carries no hunger in his gaze-only presence? That's why she smiles. Not because she wants you, but because for a moment she feels safe around a man who's found peace within himself. Confidence without trying. There's a reason younger women notice older men without a word being said. It's not about age, it's about energy. The quiet, grounded kind that doesn't beg to be seen. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." When a man stops chasing validation, he becomes free. He no longer tries to impress, he simply is. And that calm confidence pulls attention more than any performance ever could. Younger women sense it instantly. They're used to men who talk too much, laugh too loud, try too hard. But when they meet a man who carries peace instead of pressure, their energy shifts. It's not what he says, it's what he doesn't need to say. Imagine walking into a room and saying nothing, yet people feel your presence. That's confidence without effort. The rare kind that comes only when you've mastered yourself. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Confidence isn't loud. It's silent strength, the kind that makes others lean in without you asking. Mature energy and stability. Younger women are surrounded by men who act unsure, impatient, or easily shaken. So when she meets a man who moves with calm purpose, it feels different, refreshing. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's what maturity looks like. Not words, but energy. Not promises, but consistency. When a man has lived, failed, and learned, he stops seeking excitement in chaos. He becomes grounded. His emotions are steady. His reactions are measured. And that calmness creates something rare in today's world: safety. Imagine her sitting across from you, watching how you handle small moments. You listen instead of interrupt. You smile instead of compete. You respond instead of react. That's maturity in motion, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be seen. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." A mature man doesn't waste energy proving himself. He channels it into peace, discipline, and presence. And that's what she feels, the quiet strength of a man who no longer needs to chase what he already carries within. Presence and subtle style. In a world where everyone tries to be noticed, true presence is rare. You don't need to talk louder, dress brighter, or act younger. Your calm energy speaks louder than words. Epictetus said, "Appearances are deceptive. Reality is often hidden. You don't need to perform. You simply are. When you walk into a room, you bring awareness, not attention-seeking. That grounded energy makes others pause. Its quiet authority. Style is the same way. It's not about chasing trends or pretending to be 20 again. It's about wearing what fits who you are. Clean, simple, confident. A well-kept man with quiet elegance doesn't need approval. His clarity becomes attraction. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." You don't compete with youth and body depth. You don't copy fashion, you express character. Picture this: two men at the same table. One flashes expensive brands. The other wears simplicity and calm. The crowd looks twice at the second man, not because of what he wears, but because of how he carries himself. That's presence. That's style. And that's what makes her smile. The father figure energy, there's a truth many men overlook. Some younger women don't smile because of attraction, but because they feel safe. It's not a desire for a father, it's a quiet response to stability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." That kind of self-discipline builds an energy that others instinctively trust. A woman senses when a man is emotionally steady, when his calm protects rather than controls. This isn't about dominance or age. It's about emotional gravity. A man who's lived through storms carries a presence that says, "You're safe here." That's what makes her relax. That's why her guard drops. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Patience, restraint, composure, these are magnetic. They communicate safety without a single word. Picture this, a crowded place, noise everywhere. But when she locks eyes with you, there's silence, calm, security. That's not control, it's peace. And peace is the rarest luxury in her world. That's why she smiles. Not because she needs you, but because your stillness reminds her what safety feels like. Curiosity and the power of not needing her experience has a quiet magnetism. Younger women can sense it long before you speak. It's not about telling stories, it's about the energy of someone who's lived, learned, and let go. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." That humility is what makes wisdom attractive. You've seen enough to understand that control and chasing are illusions. Younger men often seek attention. Older men seek peace. And peace is rare, that's why it stands out. A woman notices when you move without needing approval. She feels the balance between strength and serenity. Seneca wrote, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." When you no longer need her attention, you become magnetic. Your calm says, "I choose connection, not validation." Imagine this, she talks, and you listen not to impress, but to understand. You share stories without trying to teach. You let silence breathe between sentences. That space draws her closer, not your effort. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So think freely. Live calmly. And remember, the less you need her, the more she feels drawn to your peace. Understanding the smile, so when a younger woman smiles at you, don't overthink it. It's not always attraction, it can be curiosity, respect, or recognition of something calm inside you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best way to avenge yourself is not to become like your enemy." In other words, stay composed. You don't need to interpret every gesture. You only need to remain steady in who you are. Women feel the energy men carry. They sense peace or they sense chaos. When your energy is grounded, you speak a language beyond words. That's the difference between being noticed and being remembered. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." Freedom isn't in chasing her smile, it's in understanding why you no longer need it. Picture this. You walk into a room, calm and aware. She smiles, and you nod gently. No rush, no reaction, just presence. Because when you've mastered your confidence, presence, and style, you no longer wonder why she smiled, you already know. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." So stay centered. Be still. Let your peace speak louder than your desire. That's the essence of a Stoic man. Unshaken, grounded, and free.